Because the grace of God is somehow strong. Even the reluctant, the doubtful, and the broken. Sometimes we may feel this way ourselves. I do tell the seminarians, when I wake up every morning, I don't say, "Oh, thank you, Lord Jesus, another day to serve you. I can't wait." Sometimes, "Oh, it's 5 o'clock already. Oh my goodness, I can get going, move. Okay, yes, this still works. I can get that foot in front of you. All right, we start moving." And then the day begins. But the reason that you do all these things when all is said and done is out of love. You see? And you do them because that's in there. And sometimes it's hard to see. This is what can make ministry difficult and sometimes somewhat intractable at times. But nevertheless, it's there. Trust God's love. And so finally, please accept the thanks of one who, as an ordained priest, knows that his ministry is infinitely energized, blessed, and enriched because people like you are a living part of it. I thank you for letting me be with you this morning, and know that you will be in my thought and prayer and love in the days and weeks ahead. Thank you. I suppose I should ask if there are any questions. We could take a couple of minutes just to see any questions or observations in regard to anything that we've been talking about. What I was attempting to do, was put ministry into the context of Catholic spirituality, and to let you know, that it's what's fundamental about the spiritual life, as it's described by the Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians 13, his beautiful song of love, that it's about actions, not so much feelings. We should know this. It's nice when your feelings catch up to your actions, but sometimes they don't. And we can be very reluctant, but the important thing is, do we do it? What do we do, you see, for the sake of God and the healing of the world? And what are we? Sometimes we have to leave our feelings behind. There are times when I'm dealing with some of the seminarians where you just like to fly up at them, But you can't do that. You can't treat people that way. That's not the path to genuine healing. And to always be considering who before God can bring the healing. And sometimes it's not me. I have to search out someone else who can deal with that particular problem. Never be afraid to say, "I don't know." Or what I'll do is I'll try to put you in touch with somebody who does. You see. Or if you're not the one who can bring the healing, to ask someone else to do it. You see, that you think before God can really do it. But all of this is part of the humanness of this whole thing. You see. Now remember, the Son of God understands all of this because he was a human being just like us in all things, except the deliberate no to God, which is what makes, I think, ministry so interesting and exciting. That even if it's things where we perhaps feel we haven't done anything wrong, nonetheless, the grace of God has been planted, and who knows where it will go.
I'll show my ignorance, Father. Who is this Ava Macarius?
Oh yeah, but I took that out of a collection of the desert disciples in the 4th century, back in the 300s, and then on through the 5th century, the 400s. There was a movement of disciples out into the desert, and it's the seed of monasticism, is basically what it is. But a lot of these people lived, as like hermits in different places, but they attracted large crowds of people, leaving the city to go out to seek their spiritual advice. Ava Macarius turns out to be kind of one of the major biggies in that thing, only because more of his sayings have survived than perhaps among a bunch of others. The desert spirituality is what they call a pedagogy of spiritual direction. In other words, we're taught the spiritual life by a spiritual director, in interacting with someone who we feel knows something about how we ought to live our life in God, you see. So, for example, what I sometimes have to do, with the seminarians, is to teach them how to use their liturgy of the hours as a true prayer form, to start to study the Psalms and show them, what I have found in doing that, and then they imitate that particular piece of advice. They take it on themselves. That's a pedagogy of spiritual direction. So what Macarius is talking about is we don't have to constantly chatter at God. and say, Lord, I'm in trouble, I need your help here. You know? And I mean, and do that in a loving and trustful way. And that's all we need to say. You know, one thing, beware of this now in prayer. A lot of us, our prayer, we're really giving God advice. Lord, if you only had the facts, this is how it should look. God hears prayers. He does not take advice. We should know this. You see, that's why a lot of these things are short and clipped a lot of times. But also because they can be easily memorized. And then as a result, you know, the disciple can use them effectively. So that's where that came from. It's time to break and get something.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Father.